Hey everyone. So we're already at week 18 of my natural bodybuilding competition prep. This actually marks the halfway point through my prep before my first competition. So we have picked out some competition dates, the first competition being September 9th. So I'm planning to do the WNBF Ontario. And I'm all registered for that. I'm going to do the Battle of the Bays in California. I am going to do the WNBF Calgary, also in Canada, and I'm planning to do Worlds, depending on how well I do in the first three competitions. So we got those four competitions lined up. I'm very, very excited about it, and yeah, we're already at the halfway point here, so 18 weeks in. So over the course of these last 18 weeks, I have lost about 23 pounds. So I started the prep at 210 pounds, and my low this week was 187.4. So just about 23 pounds of weight loss since day one. So we're making really, really good progress. I have to say, and this is to be perfectly honest, this is probably the best a prep has felt, especially at this point, 8 weeks in, and in multiple different avenues. So from a comfort standpoint, where my energy levels are not impeding on my way of life, my energy levels are actually very, very high, which is very cool. I remember even in my last competition prep, by week 18, I was feeling pretty fatigued, pretty sluggish. At this point, I feel very energized, which is really cool. I work very, very long hours, and it's very constant work throughout the long hours, and I feel like I have tons of energy to get through everything, and that's been very, very cool, more or less. As far as my strength and performance in the gym, I'm still performing very, very well. I'm still making progress. Now, something worth noting is I am noticing that it is starting to feel a little bit more laborious. It's becoming tougher to progress at this point, and it makes sense. I'm 23 pounds down. In particular, like my chest pressing exercises, which seems to be pretty common between prep athletes, is when we get leaner and leaner, it's very common for the chest pressing exercises to be some of the first ones that slow down as far as progression goes. So I'm starting to see that a little bit with some of my like bench presses and dumbbell presses, but we're not going backwards. So we're still at the very least maintaining. If not, we are progressing a little bit, not a ton, but we're at the very least maintaining. So that's all very promising. Aside from that, we're still making progress. All of my lower body exercises are still progressing. It is very hard and laborious, but I mean, I love it anyways. I'd rather it be difficult because it's more fulfilling that way, to be perfectly honest. I love the feeling of it. So yeah, things are going very, very well on that front. As far as the nutrition goes and hunger levels, so I would be dishonest if I told you that, yeah, I'm not hungry, I'm perfectly okay. I mean, I am hungry. I'm definitely hungry. So I have a pretty, not all throughout the day, but I am hungry at least to some extent for a lot of the day. And it's most apparent in like the second half, like the last quarter of the day, kind of mid-afternoon till bedtime, even though I have a meal in there. Around the meal, it's fine because the meal fills me up. But before bed, I get a little bit tired, and in the mid-afternoon to my last meal of the day, I do get a little bit hungry. But it's all manageable. It's not like uncontrollable hunger or anything like that. It's perfectly manageable, and it does help because my days are so busy with work. It's very nonstop, and that's how I like it. And it's also very helpful because that's where my mental energy is in the work that I'm doing. And not on food, not on my hunger levels. So then by the time I'm done working, then we go ahead and I get to eat and then just unwind for whatever time's left before bedtime for the last part of the day. So it all works out very, very well. The prep is going by very quickly too. So it's like each day is just flying by. And that's actually something very helpful as well. I know in prior preps that I've done, I have in the past been very prep focused, which makes time just go by so slow because you're just like thinking about that first competition day. That's all you can think about, and seeing yourself change every day, it makes time go very, very slow, and it added stress, I found. And something that I feel very happy about is this time I have a much better grasp on that, in that I don't feel the same kind of prep focus. It's still very, very important to me, but my focus is still in other things in my life right now. So it's still very important, but like, my relationships, my fiance, and my work, that is where my energy and my focus is mainly going towards. And then the prep is secondary to that. And overall quality of life is very, very good. So those are all massive improvements compared to past preps. And it's the reason why this prep is going far more smoothly. I'm far more comfortable. And it's more fulfilling too. Like at the end of the day, I'm enjoying it more, which is really nice. Now, like I associate a lot of this to working with Jeff Alberts as well. He's been helping me meticulously this whole time, as far as like the trajectory of the prep goes, helping me with my calorie and my macro parameters, and like knowing when to pull back a little bit and then be a little bit more aggressive, try things out a little bit more. And he's been really helping me pace this, and also help me manage like energy levels and mental states, and that's been really invaluable to me. So it's definitely, I've had one other coach help me on my very first prep, and then the last two preps I coached myself, and this is like by far the best help that I have had, and I feel far more confident because of that. So I attribute a lot of the reasoning behind why I'm feeling so fulfilled and so much more comfortable with this prep, because he's helping me with this. I feel very confident because of that. So shout out to Jeff Alberts at 3DMJ. It's been making this prep pretty cool. I am very excited about the end product too. So I'm 187.4 now, and we're looking pretty good. We're at a good place 18 weeks in, with another 18 weeks to go. I'm probably going to be around 175. That's going to be my stage weight. So I still have another 12, 13 pounds to lose before then, but I got 18 weeks. So that's very nice, because I don't have to be too aggressive with the fat loss. There's a low probability that I'm going to lose much muscle at all. So I'm going to be able to hold a good muscular frame by the time I compete. Fingers crossed. So I'm feeling very good. And a large part of that, again, too, is because he's really helping me pace this thing. I think that if it was me by myself, I'd probably try to go get too impatient and try to push too hard, too fast. And he's he's really helping me with that element of things. The way that my nutrition split is working right now is, so I have 4 low days and 3 high days. And what that means is I have 4 days where I'm very clearly in a deficit, and the other 3 days I'm eating my maintenance calories. So overall, only 4 of the 3 days or 4 of the 7 days a week I'm eating in a deficit. The other 3 days I'm technically eating in maintenance, which is helping to pace this. It's helping me with my energy levels, my strength production, and yeah, my mindset. It's just helping me remain positive and continue to be in just in a really good frame of mind. And yeah, it's very, very helpful. And this is something I actually started. It was 5 low days and 2 high days. And now we've actually added in that extra high day, because it's appropriate. Like, it's just, we're making really good progress. I'm still on a consistent trajectory of linear weight loss. So I'm still consistently losing fat, and it's nice to not have to be too aggressive with it, because being really aggressive is where it gets really, really uncomfortable, I would say. And that's where I could risk all sorts of things, like just shattering my energy levels and being very, very uncomfortable and losing strength and potentially losing some muscle. So I think we're at a really good place, and I'm very, very happy about that. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. Just so you guys know too, my intention is, we're 18 weeks out now from the first competition. I'm going to be doing a video like this every week now for the next 18 weeks. So I took about a 10-week, or 8 or 9 week hiatus between this video and my last week video. Now that we're 18 weeks in, we're going to try to be going and making weekly videos, weekly vlogs here, showing the 18 weeks before the competition. Cool things are happening. I'm very, very excited, and I think this is going to be the coolest part of prep anyways. So that's where we're at. 23 pounds down. The physique is looking pretty good, I think. I'm feeling very confident. I'm feeling energetic. The strength is there. You know, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. The hunger is definitely there, but you know, it's going very well. I can't complain. So that all being said, I'm going to show some training footage here. We're going to talk through it. I'm really actually excited to bring you through some of my training progress as we go here. So without further ado, let's dive in. All right, so here is some week 18 training footage. I want to start off by giving my fiance Rachel a huge shout out here. So she's been really helping me over actually the past week or so, to actually a couple weeks, to be on top of recording my prep progress, especially here at the gym. So she is actually the one who has edited this training footage, and she is also the one who has taken the video here. So huge shout out to her. If she wasn't taking the video, it would just be me kind of plunking my camera on the floor, using my water bottle to lean on, with some kind of weird camera angles across the board. But she has been really helping with the filming. So big shout out to her. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, as far as my energy levels and performance at the gym, like they're still all very high. I'm still very much looking forward to all of my training sessions, which I'm very grateful for here at week 18. So again, yeah, we're pacing things very well. Strength is still very good. It is worth noting that things are starting to get harder. It is starting to feel more laborious to progress. So like that last set there was very, very difficult. I mean, it always is very difficult, but now it's starting to feel like, you know what? Yeah, we're starting to feel prep difficult, but that's okay. Cause hey, what else would you expect? There hasn't really been any sudden drop in performance. Actually, there has been no drop in performance. I think at the very least, a couple of my chest pressing exercises are starting to get very slow, very, very hard to progress, but I've at the very least maintained. And actually, one of the strategies that Jeff has suggested is to actually be more conservative, or to consider being more conservative from this point moving forward, with how I intend to progress, meaning like depending on how I feel when I get to the gym and how things kind of start out, how my energy levels are, if I feel really strong or if I feel really sore or tired, then I can, instead of planning to progress for that training session or for whatever exercises, I can actually plan to just maintain the progress I've made from the week prior. So I give myself permission to not go for the extra rep, just try to do the same as what I've done the week before. And that seems to be, it's giving me some added, it's taking some pressure off of my shoulders, I suppose, giving me a little bit more peace of mind that if I need to kind of hold back from pushing really hard, because if I do lose energy or I do have like a bad sleep or something like that, then it's like, okay, no pressure, like we'll just try to maintain, we'll match what we did for last week, something like that. So especially now, because we're 18 weeks in, we got 18 weeks to go, this last half of fat loss is going to be the tougher half, and it is where I'm going to feel progressively lower in energy, probably at some point. I still feel really, really good as far as that goes, but there might be more days where I feel a little bit more sluggish, fatigued, maybe more sore than others. So I'm going to probably at some point start to progress a little bit more conservatively, and to be honest, I already have a little bit, but that's okay. So overall though, like everything is going very well. I started doing these here. This is kind of cool. That's this bench press. So I'm still doing flat barbell bench press on one day, and another training day I'm using this buffalo bar with lower load. I'm loving the buffalo bar. Like, it's cool. That's the one that's got the little curve shape. I initially started doing it with the intention of like, yeah, maybe it'll let me move with a little bit more range of motion. And I believe that is what it's doing. I do feel a little bit more of a stretch at the bottom of each rep. So I am liking the way that that feels. This is us on a non-training day, which is kind of interesting. One big change, and that's Rachel and I. One big change is that I'm actually training a little bit less frequently than I usually would. So when I was not on this prep in my off season, I was training 6 days a week. And before that, for years, I was training 7 days a week, including all of my other preps. So all of my other preps, I was training 7 days a week. This prep right now, I am training 4 days a week. And let me tell you, I'm loving it. I am loving the lower training frequency, and for a couple of reasons. So one, it's making me enjoy my training sessions more. So it's like if you're away from something that you love, you appreciate it more when you actually get it. Same thing with this. It's like I'm taking Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays off from training. By the time it's a training day, I'm just that much more excited to do it. Plus, I'm a little bit more recovered, so I have a little bit more energy to put into the training, which might explain why my energy levels are so good and my strength is still so high and my performance is still good. So I'm getting a little bit more recovery so I can put more into my training sessions themselves. So that's a big difference, actually. Even now that I'm thinking about it, and I'm saying it, is this between other preps. So all of my other preps, I was doing 7 days a week of training, no rest days, none. And I'm loving this, honestly, absolutely loving it. And that's probably largely in part why, like, last prep I did a couple of years ago, by the time I was at week 18, it was like, yeah, I felt like I was deep in the prep. I was suffering at that point. But this one, it's like, you know what? I'm like kind of hungry for parts of the day, but my energy levels are good. My mood is pretty good. I bet a part of that is because my training frequency is a little bit lower. And you know what? I'm enjoying my training more too compared to my last preps, right? If you're doing the same thing all the time or have that in your day every time, you're appreciating it less. You're maybe not liking it as much, but in this case, I loved it. Or I am loving it. It's making me appreciate the training sessions more. Plus, I feel like I can push a little bit harder and still stay safe. But there you go. I love these rows, by the way. Like, so there's like reflection involved here. So you can see like my torso rounding over a little bit. I do that to allow my back musculature to stretch out. They've actually come out with even more evidence to show the benefit of elongating your muscles under load and how stimulative that is for muscle growth. It's like the juiciest part of the rep. So I'm really trying to implement that into my own training whenever I can. You saw earlier with the Bulgarian split squats, like moving super deep, lots of stretch, hopefully lots of stimulus for muscle growth. If I am building any more, probably not building a whole lot more muscle at this point, but it's probably helping me to effectively maintain my muscle. And when I start applying these principles to my training more, because I always try to train with a full range of motion, but when I emphasize it maybe even more when I'm in my off season between, then I think it's going to help me build that much more muscle before my next competition prep, which is probably going to be 3 years after this one, to give me some time to build muscle and focus on other elements of life. Started adding these in as well too. These are for my delts, my shoulders. They're upright rows. I'm using individual handles here because that's what feels best on my shoulder. If I use any kind of like a solid bar, I get some kind of impingement. I need the freedom to move my hands around a little bit, move my elbows and my arms around a little bit differently, and that way I don't get impingement here. But I actually really like the exercise for my delts in particular, moving really slow on the way down. I can really feel, it's like I can feel muscle fibers like splitting apart on the way down. So that feels really good. I only started adding those in several weeks ago. To be honest, my cable lateral raises were just feeling super stale. Like it just super stale. I've done them for years, and I think there was warranted a little bit of a change there. So I've done it, and I'm liking them so far. Another rest day here. We're calling them active rest days. My step, I am trying to get at least 6,000 steps per day. That's like a 35, 40-minute walk. But we've been walking for a lot more than that on on my rest days. Rachel and I have been going for longer walks just because we enjoy it. So yeah, that all being said, everything is really going wonderfully, and we love this too. This is another part of why we're liking the 4-day frequency, is because having some time away from the gym allows us to go for these longer walks, and I get to spend more time with my fiance, which is really nice. And it's also a good balance with work as well too. But we're loving the long walks. It's helping me keep my energy expenditure a little bit better. Again, I'm just trying to get to 6K steps per day, but in practice it's actually been a little bit more than that, at least for the days I'm away from the gym. The days that I do train at the gym, I'm walking the bare minimum 6K, but when we're not at the gym, then I am walking usually a little bit more than that. Like we've been walking upwards between 10 to 12K steps. And it's just so nice in this area. It's like, why wouldn't we want to go for a walk and kind of replacement of the gym? But here we are, leg presses. Honestly, I'm going to be doing this exercise for the rest of my life. It is just, I love it. Honestly, it's hard to beat the feeling in my quads that I get from doing this. Something that I'm noticing here too, and I think this is the case, I think I'm starting to notice a leverage difference. So when you start to lose body fat, your potential to move with a larger range of motion, it increases a lot of the time, because oftentimes with more body fat, your range of motion potential is impeded upon by your body fat, like your like my calves hitting my thighs sooner because there's more body fat on both my calves and my thighs. But because there's less fat there now, I actually have potential to move a little bit lower, and I actually am. I set my chair a little bit different to kind of allow my knees to move a little bit further back, or at least that's how it feels. And yeah, the feeling that I get in my quads when I do this, like I love that what do you call it, a lever squat that I did like right at the beginning of this video. Like I love that too, but it's like, this is like the feeling that I get in the quads from this. It's like it's pretty unmatched. So I love the exercise. It's very non-injurious for me too. Like I can push very hard, and I don't run into injuries with this, as with most of my exercise selection. And if I do, usually I'll have to change something. This is right now, and this might actually be, honestly, my favorite overhead press variation. And so this is called the Viking press. And at first I thought, I was like, oh, that's such a, I kind of scowled at it. I was like, no, there's no way that's gonna, like, it's gonna be that great. And I tried it in my own way, my own setup, and let me tell you, it's perfect for me. I actually do, I used to get like kinks in my neck, like neck spasms from using the barbell, I think because of the way I had to move my neck to move with the full range of motion. But with that, it's different, because my head can kind of fit in between the two handles, and so I can push very hard, but I don't run into neck problems, and it's a great feeling on the delts. Here's the last exercise we're recording. So these are some pull downs. I'm using rotation here. I'm actually twisting here, trying to bring my elbow right down to my sides. It's a very intense feeling on the lats, let me tell you. But yeah, there you go. Anyways, that all being said, this is week 18. Thank you all so much for being here. You guys are invited to go ahead and watch some of my last videos going through the first 1 to 10 weeks of my prep, if you want to see where I was at there compared to where I am now. Thank you again, by the way, so much for being here. It's really cool to have you all following along on my journey, and I'm excited to see where we go from here. Anyways, that all being said, thank you again, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.